All right, next method that I've tried, and I did kind of a mix. So, anyways, it's therapy. So I did one when I was a kid, just one lesson or one interaction. But I was a kid, and that was sort of up to my parents to continue to pay for it or not. Had insomnia issues and all kinds of OCD type shit. But yeah, my parents just decided not to pay for it. So that interaction, I really did like the guy, but so long ago, I can barely remember it. Okay, and then let's see. Trying to remember, I think I did a little bit here and there every once in a while, and I've always enjoyed it for the most part. And then, let's see. Oh yeah, I did a few weeks. I think it was once a week, if I'm not mistaken, and it was free therapy through a university in which I guess the students analyzed a video of the clients or patients. So that's how I got it for free. And I really did like the guy, but all he really told me was my behavior was atypical and it's the result of trauma. So I feel like that's, I'm not going to say that's a cop-out, but everyone's been through trauma, right? And, it was nice, but I think maybe it was just too short of a time period for it to have any effects. Other than maybe, it felt good for that hour while I was talking to him. And then maybe a couple hours afterwards. But beyond that, no lasting effects. Then my family came together, put me into an outpatient therapy. And that was an intervention thing. It had less to do with my alcoholism, which was there, but it wasn't as prevalent as my actual mental health issue. So, yeah, I got into a fight, and family found out about it. And anyways, so they went to this really fancy Scottsdale outpatient therapy that celebrities go to, and so I'm sure it was expensive. But my family was willing to do that for me. And I really enjoyed aspects of it while I was there. It was nice while it lasted. Did it for a week. They had this interesting test that you filled out that basically told you, gave a number to your trauma, and that sort of stuff is fun and interesting, right? We like hearing about ourselves. But in terms of the quality of the therapy, it's hard to say. Again, maybe I didn't put in enough time. I can tell you, I remember the bad stuff, the stuff that just seemed stupid to me. But for the most part, that was only about 20% of the whole thing. Like reenactments, dramatic that's just not for me. If anything, that kind of thing just is laughable to me. I mean, I didn't see what it was doing. But, definitely made me uncomfortable, so it took me out of my comfort zone. But I felt corny as fuck doing reenactments with shitty actors. And then there was another moment where a therapist wanted me to hit a pillow with a wiffle bat and, call my mom a cunt. And that did nothing for me. Maybe it was the medication I was on at the time, but I just couldn't get into it. Especially since I'd rather actually get a punching bag or just anything with some actual reverb that was just, I didn't give a fuck about a wiffle bat. And then, and then she criticized me for not putting enough effort into therapy. I don't know. I thought the therapy was pretty stupid. So then there was a guy who I didn't think seemed all that intelligent. And I'm just being honest here. He just seemed like kind of a fucking moron. And he was having me do, I don't remember what it was, some sort of therapy chart, charting out just these stupid ass rules. Yeah, I didn't like it. So, I would say the quality there, beyond that, seemed pretty good, and I enjoyed it. They had you do certain things like, I think it was checking your heart rate variability. I think we did that. And that was cool to see it on the computer. And basically the idea behind that was using visualization. So visualize something that comforts you, and then visualize something that makes you uncomfortable, and you see the spike in the heart rate. Not sure that that's actually technically heart rate variability. I think heart rate variability is a little different. But anyways, they could at least map out thinking about something stressful versus something calming, and you could see it on the computer. And that to me was pretty cool. It gives you evidence that visualization works. Put some efficacy to that. So I learned that visualization works, which I never use, but I might, now that I'm reminding myself, I might start doing that. But that's one of those things that if your brain is in a clusterfuck and it's super stressed, it's hard to remember. It's hard to discipline yourself to use visualization when things are going haywire. And it doesn't mean it's not worth trying, right? But that can almost add to the stress to have something you need to do. So learning that visualization works, but from my perspective, you have to have, or you should have, some sort of baseline of decent-ish mental health to incorporate that into your life. Okay, so visualization. And then the other thing I learned, they really were just trying to tell me to slow down in general, which I don't think that's all that helpful. That doesn't really make a difference to tell yourself to slow down. Knowing that that's the general target, though, to try to figure out a way to do that, like using visualization or medication or the next modality I'll go into after this, peptides, nootropics. Having that goal in mind and noticing that other people are noticing that I'm anxious or sped up or stressed is good. It's good to have that feedback. At the time, I was on Prozac, and so a lot of my mood was covered and helped in many ways, but knowing that I was still too sped up wasn't helpful at the time. But just saying this out loud, it's good to know that I can go there, and that can be a bad place for me. And the general goal, Stoicism, for instance, the general goal is to stay calm. It's not about being perfect. It's not about feeling nothing. It's about trying to find a way to as much peace of mind as you can in every situation. Now, that's a good general goal to have, but also being called out for being noticeably not like that is a good thing to hear sometimes. So those two things I learned: slow down, visualize, and then I actually did slow down a bit for like a week after. Family members noticed it, and they noticed the change. That's about as long as it lasted, unfortunately. And the guy who ran it was telling me he wished that I could stay another week. But I wasn't in charge of the funds. You know, the guy who sold this to us told me that I would know things, you know, within a week time. It'd be like 6 years of therapy. I think that's total bullshit. I didn't really learn anything that I didn't already suspect or know. And didn't feel like I got a whole lot out of it introspectively, because I'm a pretty analytical guy. I've come up with the conclusions long ago before any of that. Having those answers mirrored to me didn't really do anything for me. I didn't feel validated personally. I didn't care. It did feel good to do the therapy and have someone to talk to about. So I learned a couple things, which to me are good, but nothing particularly helpful. Okay. So my analysis for myself personally, that very expensive therapy, take it or leave it. However, if I were, maybe I had a different disorder, maybe I have one that's less physiological in some ways. I suspect that a lot of my issues, if not most of them, are more physiological than trauma-based. It's possible I'm on the spectrum. It's possible a lot of my stuff just feels like central nervous system shit, or maybe hormonal related, but the doctors didn't find too much in regards to hormones, other than when I was a kid and I did some HGH from the doctor because I had pituitary issues, which, you know, might be a clue. Maybe that's still a resounding truth. So if I had, you gotta figure out what works for your particular situation. If yours is more trauma-based, I went through some shit, and they said it was significant at that outpatient. But let's just say that you don't have the physiological issues that I do, and you have the same amount of trauma or worse, which is very individualized too, then therapy might be your better answer. I think for me, if it were free or very low cost, I would be doing it every week. If not, you know, twice a week. That would be great. I think it would make a difference. But I don't know. I've read that a certain amount of years of therapy can have a lasting difference. Well, that's a lot of time spent, a lot of money. So, you know, they have better help out there and things like that. And I think it's still pretty expensive. You know, what is it, like $400 a month, $300 a month? I can't afford that. I can find a way to prioritize that, but I don't feel like it's worth prioritizing. To me, it's a tertiary method. For others, it might save their life. So I would definitely, if it were $50 a month, I'd be doing it. But beyond that, not for me. So I'm curious what's working for you. You've tried therapy, different styles. There's CBT, I think another one's called DBT. There's the one where you're moving your eyes side to side. I think that's, I forget what that's called. I tried that, but I did it on my own. So who knows if I did it right. And I'd say that the situation was very placebo. It felt like it was doing something, and then I kind of dropped off. Again, could have been because I was doing it myself and didn't know what the hell I was doing. I also did hypnotherapy. Maybe I didn't put enough time there either, but I didn't feel like there was anything there for me. I tried a lot of things. And personally, therapy seems like a nice adjunct, augmentation, kind of like meditation. Feel like it can definitely make life better if you can afford it. But again, for you, it could be a lifesaver.